Hello YouTube, my name is Paul. Hope you're all keeping well. Welcome back to another pickup video. The Grail Christmas video that I promised. It might be a little bit late now, but I've been working over Christmas. I had Christmas day off. Besides that, just pretty much been at work, to be fair. So yeah, hope you guys have had a fantastic Christmas and not overindulged in the same way that I have. Because I'm a greedy bastard and I like to eat too much. Problem is, I'm getting to a point now where I pay for that because my hips hurt, my knees hurt, my joints hurt basically. Anything below the waist is struggling. So I think for me personally, I need to really sort that out. And it kind of ties in nicely with the collection. I mean, it's rather than a games room, it's turned into like the national depot of retro games for the sort of southwest of England or something. It's just so much crap. Got to be honest now, I'm getting to a point where I'm buying stuff for the sake of buying it. I don't need it. I'm going to sell it. I'm going to sell a fair chunk of stuff. There's collections here I look at and I think, I ain't played that in 8 years. So some tough decisions next year in what to keep and what to sell. But I've got to a point where I literally walked in the room the other day, stack of games on the floor, I kicked them all down because I got nowhere to move. The missus put a bag in the middle of the room, so I had to go around it and yeah, literally scat a whole load of games all over the floor. But I got to a point now I'm thinking I can't really see much of the old retro artwork that I like to see. I can't pick anything off the shelf and play. But yeah, so I need to work out some solutions for next year. It will mean culling. I will be culling games, no doubt about it. But I'm one of these people that you just got to have something. Just got to have it because it's there. And it's not a good way to be. It really isn't. So unfortunately, yes, I have to correct the error of my ways and yeah, get rid of some stuff. But yeah, but I'm still going to get the collection videos done. I'll probably do those and then from those videos then start thinning out the collection. Yes. But anyway, before we thin out the collection, we'll add to the collection. We'll add some more pickups. Luckily, they have slowed down dramatically over the last month, really. They really have. As I got to a point where I just think to myself, I'm not buying anything that is no longer on my list. My list is quite small now, which is good. Excellent. So first up, I've got an Atari game. Now, kind of my point really. This is a company that did I play games from them? Never really played any games from them back in the day. A company called Tiger Vision, but I've been attracted mostly by their boxes. Not necessarily art, or it's more like the embossed writing. It's a general look of them really. I quite like them. So the first game I got is a game I got in a bundle very recently called Jawbreaker. As you can see, look at that. That's a bit of a gleam there, look. Unfortunately, they do have a bit of wear and tear on the writing in some of these Tiger Vision games. It's very difficult to find them in lovely condition. But most of the games like this from this company usually have really colourful cartridges, colourful artwork. Like I said, it's not always great. But the games are hit and miss. Some of the games are dreadful. Some of the games aren't bad. Like this one actually. This one's not too bad. I've seen it listed on eBay and on a retro game shop for about 100 quid. But I managed to get the bundle for 70, I believe. Maybe 75. But as I said, nice red cart. Pretty cool. Reminds me a little bit of the artwork for another Atari game that I've completely forgot the name of. One with lips on the front. I can't remember what it is. But yeah, this game reminded me a little bit when I turned it on of Jumping Jackson on the Spectrum. You know those like platforms that have the holes in between that you can jump up and down. It's very similar to that, but it's nothing like Jumping Jack. It just reminded me of it. It's more like Pac-Man really. We're kind of going up through the levels, picking up the pellets, the old power pill, killing the baddies. You know what I mean. What's that game called? Fast Food. Reminded me a bit of Fast Food. But there's a couple of games left on this particular label that I'm left to get. One is Minor 4902 or Minor 204902, which is very difficult to find in North America, let alone in Europe. And the other one is called King Kong, which is more readily available. Again, the prices that people ask are probably in excess of what it's worth. Probably the sort of £15–20 mark, really. But yeah, I do like these games. The same as I like the Telesys games, but the Telesys games I have more nostalgia for. But yeah, so we'll be putting out the Atari collection video definitely in January. I've now got them all sorted out. Yeah, definitely be doing that. And then I'll be looking at culling some games. But I certainly wouldn't want to lose these. I do like these games. Especially only 2 more left to get now. But yeah, in the same bundle I've got Minder 49er and a game called Marauder. Swapped them with the ones I had, so the ones I had I will be selling. That's cool. That's it for the Atari. Again, Atari wise, my list consists of about 4 games. 2 are for that particular publisher. I think one's called Jungle Hunt. Another game called Coconuts, which I think is the last Telesys game I need, and that's really hard to come across. Right, next up is the Commodore 64. Now, none of these games are expensive or obscure. It's a company that I've started collecting a little while ago called Thalamus, who, along with System 3, made some very good games on the C64. They generally port them over to the Amiga. Not always, but some of them went to the Amiga and ST, and a handful went across to the Spectrum. But it is the C64. But the company really stands out, to be fair. Again, no nostalgia with these at all. I've got a dog barking at me. So I'm not sure how you pronounce this one. Looks like Sanction, I would say. Got an X in it. Cool artwork on these as well. I do like the artwork on these. I do like the white borders. Makes the artwork stand out a little bit, really. Again, this one is a shoot 'em up. It's sort of reminding me of Iridium at first, but there's a top part of the screen which shows you a different angle of the actual main play area. Kind of a top-down view, as the main play area is a typical sort of left to right scrolling shoot 'em up, really. I found it quite an average game. Just going to bark at me in a minute. But I guess it would have been a really good game for 1986. That's when this came out, and I was quite surprised how old this game actually was. Now, I think these games mostly set me around between 7 and 15 quid for these Thalamus games, so nothing expensive. But with the C64, I'm quite happy at the moment to go for the Thalamus titles, System 3 titles, and a couple of other publishers as well, like the Hit Squad, for example. But outside of that, there's no real desire for any C64 games besides the nostalgia ones, which I do have most of them now, but I do have a few games that I don't need anymore, which I will list at some point. Next up, we have a game called Hunter's Moon. At first glance, this reminded me a little bit of Asteroids, but it's nothing like Asteroids at all. You're almost like in a force field, which keeps replenishing every time you shoot it. You need to get yourself out of the force field into another force field to pick something up to progress. And then the game becomes more elaborate as time goes on. So it's not a bad game, but not my favourite of the 3 I've picked up, really. This one, again, don't come up very often. I'm pretty sure Kicks released these games from Thalamus as well. And they're quite desirable on the Kicks label. But yeah, that one is Hunter's Moon. Now the next one is probably my favourite one. This is a run and gun. This is called Hawkeye. So I recently picked this up on the Amiga. Again, looks, plays and sounds fantastic. Very smooth. I found it quite challenging. I tend to find C64 games quite challenging. I don't know why. Don't know what it is. But it is, again, left to right, run and gun. You pick up weapon, power-ups, you pick up puzzle pieces. I didn't get very far in the game. I think to like level 2. It's one of those games, again, read instructions. If you don't read it, it just makes the game more complicated than it needs to be. I finally discovered that I can upgrade my weapons or change them to better ones, which makes a hell of a bloody difference. But yeah, that's Hawkeye. Good game. Highly recommend that one. That's me 3 Thalamus games. Try saying that after a couple of beers. Next up, ZX Spectrum. Now, one of these games is highly desirable, very difficult to find. I found it in a bundle, sold the bundle off, made more than the bundle was worth, so this game is free. 2 games that I haven't got the peripheral to use them on, unfortunately, but they came up dirt cheap, really cheap for what they are. I mean, these tend to go for sort of 50, 60 quid. Then this one, which is part of the Gremlin collection. Now, the Gremlin collection is slowing down. There's some tough old games on that collection. I recently picked up a cassette version of Nigel Mansell, which got a Spectrum release. Now, I've seen this multiple times on the Amstrad now. I've never seen it on Specky. It's very rare to see it on cassette, bizarrely enough. But yeah, the Spectrum version is probably the most difficult Gremlin title to find. And there's another game called Alien Evolution, which I think is difficult to find. And there's 1 or 2 others. This one here, I was surprised to see itself for 90 quid. That was Samurai Trilogy. Yeah, really surprised. I was never going to bid 90 quid for it, and I lost out, as you can imagine. And this came up, so I offered the guy 30 for it. Now even that seems expensive for this game. But compared to 90 quid, it's a lot cheaper. Then I think he sat on it for a day, and then got back the next day and accepted it. So I'm pleased to have it, but I don't know if that's a good price or not. I don't know. So yeah, usual bump for a cassette, instructions. But yeah, again, this one at first glance reminds me a little bit of, say, what do you call it? Where the Exploding Fist. But when you play it though, there's lots of different attributes to each player. So you've got like an attack attribute, defense attribute, and you've got bits in there. You've got to upgrade like your strength, your stamina, your skill and speed. So it's a bit convoluted like that. It's a bit off-putting, and the game itself is quite sluggish to play. Maybe I'm just crap at it. Maybe it's a brilliant game. I just didn't get into it. Certainly not a pick up and play game. Bit of a thinking man's game, but yeah. In terms of the battling, I got my arse whooped. I'll tell you that. And I found it quite difficult. I find it quite difficult to enjoy actually, but yeah, it's a desirable one on the Gremlin label, but not really one I probably will go back and play, to be honest. So yeah, there's a few Gremlin titles I'm still after. Definitely Nigel Mansell on the Spectrum, definitely Alien Evolution it's called, and there's a couple of others as well that they wouldn't be expensive, you just don't see them very often, like Toyota Celica Challenge, I think that's one I'm missing. There's a few like that, a few oddities which don't come up. Right, next up, 2 games that are in ROM cartridge form. Now, my friend had a what was it called, Interface 2 on his rubber key Spectrum. It's the one you plug in the joystick, because you couldn't play with a joystick otherwise, could you? But in it was this kind of mysterious port, which he had a game for it, a little ROM cartridge plugged into it. It was quite interesting. Never seen anything like it before. But I've never seen an interface or used an Interface 2 since. It's been a good 30 odd years. Now these 2 games came up literally by nows of like tenner. One of them I think was 7 quid. So I had to have them, just had to have them. Now, I'd love to get an Interface 2. I'd love to get a rubber key Spectrum, because again my aunt used to have one, my mate used to have one. And I'd love to have one in the collection with its peripherals, like the Interface 2, Interface 1, got the micro drive, got loads of stuff that go on it. You think the Sega Mega Drive Tower of Power looks cool? Spectrum selection will look pretty awesome. So first up we got, these are bloody cool. Smaller boxes than I envisaged as well. Hungry Horace. Oh yeah, baby. Can't believe how cheap these came up. Comes with its instructions. Looks in lovely condition. I think the guy sold another 2. I think one of them was like Jetpack, which I missed out on. Always have a tendency to go to the sales section just to see what he had. Might have been Planetoids or something like that. I think there's only about 9 or 10 games like this, I think, on the Specky. I might be wrong. It's not something I've really looked into. Everybody knows what Hungry Horace is like. It is like a Pac-Man clone. Very similar, really. You ring the bell, go and eat the things chasing you. Every now and then you get a bit of fruit. So yeah, it is pretty much a clone of Pac-Man, to be fair. And next up is another game in the Horace series. I believe only 2 Horace games came out like this. And the second one is Horace and the Spiders. Probably the game I am least familiar with. Again, complete with instructions in lovely condition. They really are. Now, it's not something, again, I'm not going to go for these. These would be the sorts of things I'd like to pick up if they were cheap. And that's literally the cartridge. Awesome, isn't it? I don't know if many cartridges came out for the Interface 2. I don't think any other publishers released games. Again, I don't really know, to be fair. But yeah, I loved getting them in the collection. I'm not sure which one my friend had. I think he had Hungry Horace. See, in my mind, my own memory, I always thought he had the other one, the skiing one, but it isn't. It didn't come out. This game here, yeah, I wasn't that impressed. I didn't know how to play it, to be fair. You just got to avoid spiders. Simple as that, really. Nothing much else to say. But yeah, I can see why this one was probably the weakest of the 3 games. To be fair, in my opinion, anyway. I much preferred Horace Goes Skiing and Hungry Horace. But yeah, got the old codes on the side there. GR24, is it GR or G24R? So I've got no idea how many of these games actually came out on ROM cartridge. Now the last one is probably one of the games you'll need to get if you're going to go for this particular set of games. This bundle came up. Inside the bundle, games for the Sam Coupe. There's some lovely Hit Squad titles that unfortunately I didn't need, but it helped pay for this particular bundle, so I think it was about 300 quid. But there's one game in particular that I wanted. I missed out on an auction a little while back in Portugal, went for about 180 quid in quite tatty condition. Another game came up of this game that ended, as it does, just disappeared. I was watching it just out of interest, but the game in question is Dalek Attack. Alternative software. Sometimes where it says alternative software, it says something else. Admiral, I think. But again, it's a tough to find title for the alternative label, along with quite a few other for most games as well. So a few games like, I don't know, I can't think what they're called now. For most cute something something. They're quite tough to find. This was a 1992 release, so quite a late commercial release. You're likely to find this more easily on the Commodore 64. Yeah, so really chuffed to have that. And like I said, the bundle went for more than I paid for it, which is weird for me. Sometimes I overpay for stuff, and it kind of balances out really for me. I think I'm a bit daft like that because I'm quite impulsive. Either I spend a lot of money on stuff, or I can be quite astute and get some money back. So it just swings and roundabouts, doesn't it, really? But yeah, that's the 4 games I'm going to show you. Probably the 4 biggest titles outside of Ocean and outside of the Hit Squad that I've picked up this year. So really pleased to have that. But yeah, the alternative is another label that's quite difficult to collect for. It's more difficult than you think, especially with some of the obscure compilations. Now, next up we have the Amstrad. Now, this particular game here, I would like it on the Spectrum, but I didn't realise the Spectrum version apparently didn't get released, but there's no proof that it didn't get released, if that makes any sense. So it wasn't like definitely confirmed it didn't get a release. It got reviews, it even got a demo in a magazine. I think the demo, if you type in a poke, I think you can actually access the entire game or something like that. That game is Thunder Jaws. So yeah, I would love this on the Spectrum. Apparently it is missing in action. May not have ever got a release. So yeah, I bought the Amstrad version for no reason really. The game itself though reminds me a lot of Sly Spy Secret Agent. First level you're in is underwater, like you got your little spears and all, just like the level in Sly Spy really. Plays like that. I didn't get very far in it because it's quite a tough little game to play. The play area is quite small in the Amstrad, so I found it a bit of a struggle, to be fair. But yeah, I never played the arcade game before. But yeah, if the Spectrum version's out there, it'd be great to know. But apparently never ever got a release. Or no one's ever seen it. I can't imagine it's sold particularly well. I know it doesn't come up very often on the Amiga and on the ST. Indeed, it doesn't come up very often on the Amstrad either, but yeah. Now, next 2 are massive titles. Again, another label besides Ocean that I do like to play games on the Amstrad. But yeah, they're both by Titus, and they're both expensive as well. One of them's highly regarded because it is made specifically for a particular machine, which is great to see that, which I'll go through that in a minute. First up is Super Cauldron. Big box, Amstrad disc. The game itself looks quite pretty on an Amstrad. I've got to be honest, I don't think the playability is much cop. Not that I've never really played the first Cauldron, to be honest. I haven't even been asked to take that out of the wrapping yet, look. But yeah, huge box for a little disc. Again, this one set me back, I would say about £100. Now, I'm not sure if that is a reasonable price or not. I reckon I probably overpaid a bit for that one. I might be wrong though, because the guy literally listed this and he listed the next one within quick succession. But yeah, graphically it's pretty. It's a pretty game. The mechanics of the game seem quite nice as well. But yeah, I'm not really sure what you're supposed to do. Just got to read the instructions again and give it a go. But yeah, pleased to have that. There's a few Titus games I like that I don't have on the Amstrad, like Blues Brothers I don't have, as one of them. I think Titus the Fox got an Amstrad release. I believe Crazy Cars 3 got an Amstrad release, but again, you're more likely to find these over in France than you are in the UK. But I believe these two came from the UK. So yeah, really pleased to have it. They both came up literally with the price, £100 or buy it now. And because you seldom see it, I just bought it. It's not in my luck. I would have put an offer in for, say, I don't know, 70 quid or something. It would have gone. The next one was slightly more expensive at 150. Now this game is, there's 3 different versions on here. There's a standard 64K version, CPC, 128K CPC, but the one I think everyone likes to see is the Plus version, which has lovely parallax scrolling. That's prehistoric too. I don't know if this came out on anything besides the Amstrad. I've never seen it on anything else, to be honest. I don't even think I've seen this on the Amiga. Should look it up, really. But again, this one here, again, plays similar to Super Cauldron in the way that it is tough. But the graphics are very pretty. But yeah, it just, I think it's hindered. This one slows down quite a bit. Too much action happens at once, it does slow down. I quite enjoyed it, to be fair, even though it had that slowdown. But yeah, it just looks great. It really does. So this was 150 quid. It can go for more. I'm sure I've seen this game go for a lot more than that. But it's all in lovely condition. So very pleased to have these Titus games. I'd like I said, to have some more. I missed out on a bundle on an auction. One of those proper auctions. I think it went for 170 quid. It had Titus Fox in it, I think. Yeah, it was Titus Fox. Yeah, amongst a lot of other Codemasters titles. Some very desirable ones, but because it's one of those live auctions and I'm at work, I can't really sit there and bid on stuff. So unfortunately I lost it. And then the guy later listed it all on eBay anyway. And some of the prices he listed them at were ridiculously cheap. But yeah, so that's Prehistoric 2. So that's 2, I think I've already got 2 Titus games. I would like the other 3 that I mentioned. There might be more, there might not be. I'm more interested in the later Titus titles than the earlier Titus titles. Right. Next up, Amiga. I said nothing for the STs come up. I've not really bought a lot of ST games now. But the Amiga, again, I've not bought an Amiga game for a little while. I think the one I'm going to show you is one of my latest editions, actually. This one I picked up probably at least 6 months ago. Hudson Soft made it. You don't see many Hudson Soft games on the Amiga, but when you do, they tend to command sort of around about anything between 75 and 150 quid. And this one is BC Kid, which I've been after for a long time. I've missed out many times at auction, where the game has gone in excess of £100. This one I think cost me 80. Buy it now. But condition wise, it's absolutely in stunning condition. Really pleased to have this. Show the back of the box there. Really pleased to have it. It's a good platformer. It's quite funny, and the fact you can kill the enemy by landing on them, on your head. But yeah, again, a game I've not spent a lot of time on. These 3 Amiga titles I haven't spent a lot of time on, but I'd like to. Like I said though, it is a platformer, quite a cutesy one. I don't know what it's very similar to. Chuck Rock maybe? Hazard a guess, something like that. Kind of gives me that kind of vibe. BC Kid is a tiny, big-headed prehistoric lad. He's got a huge head. Reminds me of Sega Head. Sega Head's Avatar. Yeah, cracking game to have in the collection. One that's been sort of eluding me for the past couple of years, but it's nice to have it, especially getting it for a decent price as well. Now next up, again another game, the last of the plastic case Domart games, originally released in America by Broderbund. That is Wings of Fury. Finally. This one was not cheap, I tell you no lies, and what was more infuriating is I bought that, and the next day a cheaper one came up on eBay. Literally, it was 250 quid, the cheaper one, but this one cost me more than that, unfortunately. But yeah, which is a pain in the bloody arse. I think I've already got the book, like I said before, the book and the disc somewhere around. I don't know where the hell it is. But yeah, so really pleased to finally have this, the final of the plastic case Domart games. Again, I'd love to master this game. It's an absolute sod to play. I mean, when I got the video footage just now for this particular video, I literally just drove off the flipping end of the aircraft carrier straight into the sea. And then finally I got going. And then it's very difficult to aim your bombs onto the target, because when you go too high up in the sky, everything zooms out, so everything's tiny. And when you zoom in, it looks great, but everything goes too fast. It's just quite difficult to play. I like to get into it though. I did like Harrier Attack back in the day. Really enjoyed that game. And those sorts of games I do quite like. So yeah, we'll get into that. But yeah, finally got Wings of Fury. Very pleased to have it. I mean, I've had the budget version, which I've still got a centre wheel. I've had the American version, which I sold. But that's the one I wanted. That's the one I wanted. I think there's at least a dozen Ocean on my mind. A dozen Domark plastic case games like that. They all look pretty cool. They're just an absolute nightmare to open. And this was the most recent edition. Again, another game I haven't really played before. Another game on my list. It leaves me with one probably difficult game to find, I would say, on the Amiga. Not difficult, expensive. And this one is PP Hammer and his pneumatic weapon. Again, haven't really spent a lot of time on this. But it does look good. Seems to play really well, but I don't know what I'm doing. I was literally trying to drill holes in the floor, not knowing what I was doing. I'm sure you use the weapon to access certain parts of the level. I just haven't got no idea how to play it. This game cost me quite a bit. I think I had a 20% off of it. It cost me, I think, it was over 300 quid, which is probably more than what you'd expect to pay for it, but not far off it, I don't think. You very rarely see this come up for auction, and you very rarely see it come up complete with its sticker and stuff like that. I assume it's a sticker, not like a patch. Poster, sticker, and disc, yeah. So pleased to finally have that in the collection. Like I said, with the Amiga now, I've got about 10 games on my list. Capcom games, there's a couple there that I really would like. Again, never seen them come up. The one big hitter I still don't have it to this day, is Moonstone. Still don't have that, and I'm not going to pay over the odds for that, like I have for these, because it comes up more frequently than these do, if that makes sense. 1943 original Capcom box. I'm after last Duel, which I had and I sold. This is the danger of selling stuff and then regretting it later on, so I've got to really think about what I'm going to sell. There's about 3 Ocean compilations in Europe, and I think that's pretty much it. Pretty much. So that's the Amiga pickups, which again, awesome. Glad to have those. Then we got FM Towns. Bought an FM Towns computer this year. Finally, I've actually had 2 this year. I got one imported from Japan, one I bought from the UK. The one in the UK was boxed but listed as for parts, I think. But it does work because the guy didn't have anything to connect it to. Always find that quite dubious because you never know if it's true or false, do you? But if you buy something that says for parts, you can't send it back if you don't like it, basically. So yeah, it worked, so it was great. And I sold the one that I picked up from Japan, which was unboxed. So I've got the monitor, I've got the computer, which I will, when I do my FM Towns collection video, I will show that off along with the Marty. I picked up some games as well from Japan this year, which I've never used the Yahoo sites before. But this first one wasn't from Japan. I think this was just a UK seller, which is Raiden, then Setsu. This was about 170 quid, 180 quid, around that sort of mark. Almost 12 months ago now. In fact, it might have been 12 months ago. It might have been around this time I got it. Really good shoot 'em up. You know what Raiden's all about. Got a distinctive brand. Again, they come in these gigantic boxes, don't they? But ultimately, the game is just sat in a CD holder. But yeah, nice to have this though. There's quite a few shooters on the Towns. I've got most of the better ones. The one I'm still missing, the one I would love to have, is Flying Shark, which did come up a couple of years ago. I kind of balked at the price. I think it was like 350 quid, but you can probably pay double that now for that game. So yeah, with FM Towns games, yeah, if you see them and you think, that's expensive, it's probably because they are. There's a game that went recently that I was after called Volified. Now, I like that game, a Taito game, and it went for like 300 quid, and that's before it even got exported here. But oh, bloody hell, I'm after Puzznik still. Is it Puzznik? Yeah, it's not plotting. I think it's plotting and Puzznik, I think, on the same disc. I'm still after Zack McCracken, Alien Mindbenders, the Indiana Jones game. Still would like those. Next up, this one here was quite expensive. Again, I've seen this listed in the UK for sort of 500 quid. It's not worth that. I can't remember what I paid for this though. But it was probably about half of what that one on eBay is listed for. I think it was about 250. And that is Shadow of the Beast 2. Again, it's got a lovely intro like the Amiga version has. Everything's got that sort of CD quality sound, CD quality music. Yeah, brutally hard game for those who've played it, but yeah, lovely to have this in the collection. I'm not sure there's not many more Psygnosis games that I want for the FM Towns. Again, these games are strange. They have the artwork on the back, but nothing on the front, which is quite common for FM Towns games. Now, it's difficult to know what should be in these, because I know you should normally have like registration documents and other bits and bobs, but half the time they're missing, unfortunately, from these games. For Shadow of the Beast 2, I haven't played that one as much as the first one or the third one. I find it difficult. Unfortunately, I've got no footage for these games because I've got an emulator, but unfortunately I can't get it to play sound. I can put the discs in the PC and play it from the discs, and there's no sound though, which is bizarre. Or is it the controller I can't get to work? Can't remember. Something I can't get to work. And the next one is a game I've been after for a long time. Now, I've seen this one sell for best part of 1,000 quid before. Now, I think this one is missing something. I think it's missing the hint book, which I'll keep an eye out whilst I'm over at Yahoo Auctions. And that game is Monkey Island 2, The Chuck's Revenge. Now, this one I've been after for a long time. I do love the Monkey Island series, like a lot of people do. Yeah, very pleased to have this. This one was around 500 quid, I want to say. Again, watch out for the spines as well, as per usual. They do discolour. I've seen loads of Towns games with discoloured spines. But a game, again, that needs no introduction. Full talkie soundtrack. Gorgeous graphics. I mean, these are kind of like ports you would have had from the PC. And probably upgraded for the Towns. I think the Towns was quite advanced for its time. 1989, I think the Towns come out. 386, I think the early ones were processors. But yeah, certainly looks better than the Amiga version, even though the Amiga version for me will always be my favourite version. But it is an upgrade on the Towns, and that's why I want the other LucasArts games, or Lucasfilm games, LucasArts games, on the Towns. So yeah, there is more to show. I've got more, but I don't want the video going on for too long. We're now at half an hour. I've been picking up stuff left, right and centre this year, and next year it has to be different. I won't ever stop myself buying stuff because that ain't going to happen. But I do need to think about what direction my collection is going in and try and make this room more practical. Which, like I said, I go into in a bit further detail along sort of the way, really. So thank you for watching the video. Thank you very much for subscribing. Merry Christmas. See you in the next one. Bye for now.